A lot of us have heard about Cyntoia Brown long, a young woman who was convicted of murder and robbery that stemmed from her being a victim of sex trafficking. Kim Kardashian, or Kardashian West, I'm not sure what she goes by anymore. She's actually been credited with bringing this case to light and giving it a public platform, but what people forget is this is not a one-time thing that happened. There are literally thousands of other Cyntoia Browns, one of whom we will be talking about today, Chrystul Kizer. Hey friends, I'm Xavier, and I am back with another black case file for you today. Yep, still sick. Face is still swollen, sinus infection, all dead. Still on a lead cold and sinus and Tylenol extra strength. Not sponsored, but it could be based on how much I'm ingesting. Anyways, typically talk about cases that tend to focus on people of color, and the topics will vary. Sometimes it's about history, sometimes mystery, sometimes conspiracy, sometimes murder mystery, conspiracy from mystery. Anyways, if you like this content, make sure to hit that lovely red subscribe button. You can also find me on Instagram at the Black Case Files. I don't mess with Twitter, so no. And I'm working on getting on TikTok. Like, I'm on TikTok at the Black Case Files. They just don't have much up there. Lastly, there's a little playlist right here that I add all of these stories onto, so binge it, have fun, enjoy. Okay, today we were talking about a sex traffic victim who asserts her act of murder is self-defense. Let's get into it. In 2018, 16-year-old Chrystul Kizer posted to Backpage. In case you didn't know, Backpage at the time was a site that was used frequently by sex workers, but was also known to have listings for things like furniture or what's for sale, kind of like a Craigslist. Actually, when Craigslist adult section was shut down in 2010, a lot of those who posted in that section migrated over to Backpage. Fun fact, when I was in law school, I was the one to explain to the class what Backpage was. That was fun. Anyways, as of right now though, if you go to backpage.com, there's a placeholder explaining that backpage.com and any affiliated sites were seized as of April 6, 2018. Moving on. Chrystul posted to the site because she needed money for books, school, and food. 16. When she posted on the site, the first person who contacted her was 34-year-old Randall, or Randy, Volar III. Chrystul began living with him. Again, 16. Side note, in Wisconsin, the official age of consent is 16. However, sexual contact between an adult and a 16-year-old person is still illegal. This is what's called a statutory crime, most commonly known as statutory rape. With a statutory crime, that means that it doesn't matter if someone says they are 18, if an adult has sex with them, and they are actually age 16 or younger, it's still statutory rape. You either had sex or you did. That's it. Now, reasoning or excuses may come into play or play a role during the sentencing process, but as far as having actually committed it, either you did or you didn't. Okay, Chrystul lived with him, and she claims that he not only sexually abused her on a regular basis, but that he also filmed the abuse. And it was during this time that she says that Volar started trafficking using Backpage and kept the money that she made. So basically, he was pimping her out. It should also be mentioned that there is more basis for the allegations than just what Chrystul is saying, or rather alleging. Volar has a history of doing exactly what she alleges he was doing. In 2017, Volar was arrested and charged with child enticement, using a computer to facilitate a child sex crime, and second-degree sexual assault of a child. Court records demonstrated that police had evidence that Volar was abusing multiple underage African-American girls, and there was video evidence of this abuse. Records also show that the prosecutor's office received the evidence a couple of weeks before Volar was killed, and 3 months after his initial arrest for the 2017 issue. So on June 5th, 2018, when Chrystul killed Voller by shooting him in the head, or it's alleged. According to court documents, she admitted that she shot him after taking an Uber from Milwaukee to his place because she was tired of him touching her. She also started a fire at his home and she took Voller's BMW in her escape. His car was actually found abandoned in Milwaukee, and the police were able to use a receipt found in the car as well as a combination of surveillance video on Facebook to track the stolen car to Chrystul by matching an arrest photo to her selfies and a live video. So Chrystul was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, and she was incarcerated at Kenosha County Detention Facility with a bail set at $1 million. So let's pause again for a second and talk about the charges and the sentence. Chrystul was charged with first-degree intentional homicide. That means this charge carries a mandatory life sentence in prison according to Wisconsin law. It's also important to note that although the prosecution agreed that Voller was an abuser, they believe that the murder was premeditated and that Chrystul planned to steal his car, which was indicated by her being armed with the gun and that she downloaded a police scanner app the day of the shooting. So they're taking all of these extra steps as proof of premeditation. However, in 2019, Chrystul disputed her initial police statement and she asserted that Voller was killed in self-defense. Because Chrystul is a sex trafficking victim, she has a defense to her act via Wisconsin state law that acquits a person of all charges if the person is a sex traffic victim and the crime is committed by the person who was the victim. In December 2019, the Kenosha County Circuit Court Judge David Wilk ruled that Chrystul did not have access to the affirmative defense law for trafficking victims. Now, after the Washington Post ran an article about her and her case back in 2019, so like 3 years ago, the case began receiving some attention. Celebrities began speaking out about it. Experts began weighing in and stating that children of color are seen as willing participants in trafficking cases. Black girls, they're seen as more promiscuous and are perceived as older and therefore not afforded the same protections or the same allocations that their white counterparts would be afforded. But probably the most significant was the woman whose case that hers bears a striking similarity to. Cyntoia Brown Long wrote an op-ed that outlined the similarities between their cases. A petition with approximately 950,000 signatures was circulating that requested for Chrystul's release in the case dismissal back in December of 2019. Well, the DA took a stand by posting on Facebook a response that said he would not be swayed by the petition. However, Chrystul's mother, Devore Taylor, formed the Chrystul Kizer Defense Committee to organize around the case and to raise bail money. So the case received renewed attention again after the George Floyd protests. And organizations such as the Chicago Community Bond Fund received an influx of donations. All of these things will be linked down in the description below. So Chrystul, however, she did make bond. She was released on June 22nd of 2020 after she posted the bond raised by the Chicago Community Bond Fund and the Milwaukee Freedom Fund. Survived and punished, and the Chrystul Kizer Defense Committee. So all of these combined together helped her make her bail. And on June 2nd of 2021, the Wisconsin Court of Appeals released a published decision finding that the trial court had erred when denying the ability to raise as an affirmative defense the statute I mentioned, Wisconsin Statute 939.46, related to victims of human trafficking and child sex trafficking. Again, I'll link that below. This decision is currently pending review under the Wisconsin State Supreme Court, and that is as of September of 2021. So the Wisconsin Supreme Court is currently reviewing the case. However, the most significant development is actually the outcome of the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Chrystul's legal team's argument is that if Rittenhouse successfully argued his case claiming self-defense, then Chrystul's case should have the same outcome. Chrystal's case also brings up a test of how the law can oftentimes not apply equally to everyone, particularly Black girls and women like Chrystul. So let's take a look at everything. Typically in a murder case, the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Chrystul committed this murder. However, if she asserts that the affirmative defense and she proves that she was a victim of sex trafficking, then the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that either she wasn't a victim of human sex trafficking, or that the crime that she committed was not a direct result of that human sex trafficking. If her legal team decides to use Rittenhouse as an example, well, they will have to overcome the fact of imminency. Imminency, or the threat of immediate harm, was present in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, but it's not necessarily present in this case. But is it? The prosecution doesn't believe so, and they're saying that Chrystul traveled to Voeller's house with the intent to kill him. But the Wisconsin Supreme Court, like I said, they're currently reviewing an appellate court decision that opened the door for Chrystul to use the affirmative defense while fighting a murder charge for the death of a man who prosecutors do admit had been preying on Kizer and other underage girls. So whether her defense team will be allowed to pursue that line of defense is the subject of the Wisconsin Supreme Court review. The affirmative defense has never been used in a homicide case in Wisconsin. So while the appeals of the affirmative defense issue are pending, the prosecution has been on hold and no trial date has been set. Chrystul's been free on bond since June of 2020. Like I mentioned, after all of these different organizations came together to post her $400,000 bond. The rest remains to be seen. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching, friends. I'll see you next time with another Black Case File. I try to upload 3 to 4 times per week. Keyword, try. Make sure to follow the Black Case Files on Instagram to see what we'll be uploading next. I'll see you next time. Bye.